This morning for breakfast we decided to go ahead and make some homemade waffles. Mom's off to the side, she's cooking some sausage and cutting the strawberries for our waffles. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this mixture. What I have here, I have 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. This is going to be a Belgian waffle, so it's going to be crispy on the outside, it's going to be light and fluffy. To that we're going to add 1/3 cup of corn, 1/2 a cup of cornstarch. This is where it gets messy. Cornstarch is so light. And it flies everywhere. To that we're going to add 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Just going to give this a nice mix. And once we get this mixed up, we're going to go ahead and incorporate our wet ingredients. This recipe calls for mixing all our ingredients separately, so you're going to use about 3 bowls for making it. In this container here I got 1.5 cups of buttermilk, and to that I'm going to add another 1/2 cup of whole milk. So we have 2 full cups total. To that we're also going to add, my brain sometimes leaves me, it's just the way it works. We're going to do 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. And we always use pure vanilla because it gives a much better taste. Try not to make a mess. Be amazed about how many times I just go along and I'm in the process of doing something and I completely forget what I'm doing in the middle of it. I'm sure I've seen other people do that, but I seem to do it a lot. Alright, we're going to also put in this 6 tablespoons of vegetable oil. If you don't have vegetable oil, you can use canola oil. And no, I cannot measure and talk at the same time. I will completely forget where I'm at. I've done that a lot. Alright, and then off to the side here, we've taken 2 eggs already, and we've taken them and we've separated them. So I'm going to take this egg here, the egg yolk, I'm just going to go ahead and mix that together. That way whenever I put it back in my little bowl here, it's going to be much easier for me to mix it all together. Give that a mix. And I'm going to mix in my egg yolk. Wait, this got a little fluffiness to it. Alright, now we're going to start on our meringue. Now in this mixing bowl we put our 2 egg whites. And we're going to mix this until it's kind of frothy, and then we're going to add just a little bit of sugar to it. Just to give it a little bit more sweetness. This is probably one of the best recipes we've found for waffles. I've given it to a couple of friends, and I gave it to them. I'm not gonna lie, at first I didn't want to, but I was like, you know, why not share the great recipes we have? We're gonna mix this until it's almost a stiff heat. Alright, now we're gonna go ahead and add 3 tablespoons of granulated sugar. I'll do that kind of slowly. Alright, I think this is about done. When you take a look, you can see that it holds its shape as you lift it up. That's about where we want it. I'll see if I can make a mess there. Nothing like turning your mixer on while it's still got stuff all over it. Alright, we're going to set this off to the side here. I'm going to grab my whisk here. Go. Alright, we're going to, in the center of this, actually, I'm going to add my milk mixture and just kind of slowly mix that in. We do want this to be fairly smooth since we're putting the egg whites in it. And this is a perfect example of why you add your liquid slowly so you don't get lumps. If you add your liquid too quickly, you get lots of lumps, just like I did there. Mom and I were discussing during the break, and we talked about the break whenever we're grabbing stuff, we're getting stuff out of the way. You want your eggs to try to be at room temperature. That's going to help them beat just a little bit faster. And make them just a little bit fluffier. Alright, that looks like it's nice and mixed. Now, we're going to take our egg whites there, and we're going to put those in there, and we're going to lightly fold that in. We don't want to mix it a lot. This is going to help give it that lightness and the airiness. Is that right? Airiousness? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. It's like me saying Worcestershire sauce or Worcestershire sauce, whatever. Alright, it works. Alright, now we're just going to take this. Just going to lightly fold this in. Again, you don't want to, you want it mixed in, but you don't want it to be, whenever you do this, if you actually take a look at it on the sides of the bowl, you'll actually see where the volume actually goes up by a lot. So you want that airiness to go in. Alright, that actually looks pretty good. And we're going to get started with our waffle maker. Depending on what type of waffle iron you have will depend on whether you know whether it's hot. So please read the manufacturer instructions. On this one, it's got a little orange light here. Once the little orange light goes off, that means that it is done. That it is ready to be, we're ready to cook with it. Some of them have temperature gauges. If you have a temperature gauge on it, you want to cook these at 350 degrees on your waffle iron. For us, our little light's gone off. That means it's nice and hot and ready to go. I'm going to take my little scoop there. And this looks like it's going to, it depends on your size of your waffle iron. For our waffle iron here, this is going to take about a cup of waffle mix. We'll kind of get that spread out to the edges a little bit. We're going to put that down, and as soon as our light goes off again, this isn't going to take very long to cook, just a few minutes. Alright, we'll let that cook for just a second. Alright, our little light's gone off, showing us that our waffles are done. Look at that. Look at that golden brown crispy waffle. Look how nice and fluffy it is. That's probably a ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch thick. That's how fluffy these are. And this is going to be very hot. I'm going to stick it right down there. And it almost takes an entire plate. That's pretty amazing. We'll go ahead and make grab some more waffle mix and start some more waffles. To keep these hot, you can turn on your oven to 200 degrees. And set them in the oven with a nice cloth over them, so that way they're not, so that way they don't dry out, and also so they can stay nice and hot for whenever you're ready to eat them. We're going to make a couple more and get them assembled for you. Alright, we're going to put some strawberries and whipped cream on this. Alright, my brother's here, my mom's here, and they both looked at the waffle and they're like, oh, that's really large, we only want one. I think they're kind of wimps, because I'm having two. So anyway, but we're going to take this waffle and we're going to put a few fresh strawberries. We took some strawberries, put a little bit of sugar on them, we'll let them sit for just a little bit. And of course you can put any kind of syrup you want on it. Anything that tastes great. I'm just going to just kind of toss a few of these in on top. You can do this how you want. I put my whipped cream in there in the center. Alright, that's going to be the breakfast. A nice Belgian waffle with some strawberries and some whipped cream. We hope that you enjoyed this recipe. And maybe a few more strawberries.